to win this fall. Does that cut through?
Yeah, that came through fine.
Okay.
You should just speak in drops for the rest of the show.
It's not a bad idea. All right, keeping it going with the SMU Mustangs, over under win total of 8.5, over -120, under +104. Bud, what are we doing with the Mustangs?
I pull up that schedule. I tend to think that there's like a decent bet here to the over. I do think their roster is pretty solid. I would be somewhat surprised if they lost Cuse, Stanford, East Texas A&M, Missouri State, Wake, Boston College, or Cal. I do think that they I just think they're built better than those teams. To me, this is the fourth best team in the league, and I think Jennings, despite his terrible game against Penn State, is actually pretty solid. They could be better on the offensive line. I mean, defensively, I do worry about the back end a little bit. But, I mean, this schedule is – you do get Clemson and Miami. You get most of the worst teams in the league, though, right? And I think that's helpful. The games against the Big 12 will be really important, obviously. Like that's going to matter. But I'm slightly over here.
I'm with you. I thought SMU would be a perennial contender in the ACC. I didn't think it would happen in year one, but I think it is here, and I think they're here to stay towards the upper tier of the conference. You know what they did last year against the ACC? They kind of won the games they were supposed to the way they were supposed to. You know, the Duke game they won, it was a little bit slow. They had so many turnovers in that game, but they just found a way to win. But for the most part, they kind of handled their business. The BYU loss was a slip up, but that was kind of while they were going through the quarterback change. RJ Maryland, I can't wait to see what they're going to how they're going to utilize him, who I think could be a potential, superstar at that position, just as a tight end, kind of flexed out. You use him as an offensive weapon. Rhett Lashley's an offensive mind, so I can't wait to see that. And I think Kevin Jennings is going to taking up another step forward. I heard Rhett Lashley talking, and he was saying how even in the game against Penn State, the score looked awful. The game didn't look competitive, but they were moving the ball between the numbers. They were in the red zone inside the 24 times and walked away with 3 points. And, of course, a couple of those were turnovers from Jennings. But I think they're here to stay, so I'm going to go over.
A reminder for you boys about the teams that weren't on SMU's regular season schedule last year. There wasn't Clemson. There wasn't Miami. They got to the ACC title game against Clemson, and they only lost by 3, but a lot of that was some fourth quarter, makeup to kind of make it look a little better than it was. And then they got the doors blown off them on the road at Penn State. Like, this is a team that when they played against the best, they did not look to be nearly the same. I think that there's a very strong argument that last year's SMU team overperformed. So to expect there to be some regression this year, I think is natural. And then you look at that schedule, which now includes a road game to Clemson. It includes Miami. You've got Louisville at the end of the year. And also in non-conference, this is a team that could lose to Baylor. I think Baylor is going to be one of the better teams in the Big 12. I could see SMU losing that game. They have to go on the road for TCU in a rivalry game. They could lose that game. This is a team that could be 2-2 before it even gets to ACC play. I'm on the under. I just don't see – they lost quite a bit. I still think they're good. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying last year was a fluke or this team's going to fall off the face of the earth. But 8-4 is still a pretty damn good year. But it's not going to get you over this total. So give me the under.
I don't think they're going to lose both Baylor and TCU.
Like, it's not it doesn't take that much being off in your projection. Like, if they're maybe 4 or 5 points worse than we think they are from a power rating standpoint and get a little bit of bad luck, they could miss a bowl. But no, I'm like that's how close the margins are in college football now, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if they're slightly worse than we think they are, like, by more than a field goal, and you get some bad bounces, then what if you lose Baylor and TCU and Clemson and Miami and Louisville? That's 5, and maybe you drop 2 more. You really shouldn't. If you're a decent team in the ACC, you should be to a point where you're not losing to Stanford, Syracuse, Wake, Cal, probably Boston College. Maybe at Cal and at BC are exceptions to that. But I just think, If you're for real, you're not having struggles with those teams. I just think they're for real, so I'm going to go ahead and take their over.
I think that Rhett Lashley did a good job evaluating what the roster needed for the first year of ACC play. They went 8-0 in the American. They went 8-0 in the ACC. Tom is right that they were benefiting from a very, very fortunate draw, and we were looking at that as a reason to buy them as over last year. The schedule's tougher. They are not going to go 8-0 in conference play again, but I think they can get to 9-3. So I'm officially on the over.